Test, test. Ah, it's working. So, welcome to the first normal talk in the Audimax. 10:15 to we actually mid the time covered it up. Welcome to Łukasz Pengiel, right?
Very good.
And I think most of you actually know him from ABAPblog, which actually is always a challenge when you're actually submitting a session to us, because normally people have an email address like first name, last name. He is just like me at ABAPblog. Yeah, but I think you know him. He has a really nice blog. It's a little bit sleeping, I think. But he also is writing a lot of ADT plugins to make the life of developers actually easier. So unfortunately, Thomas already left, but maybe he should talk to Łukasz. Łukasz, actually, how to make the life of developer easier, because he is one of the people that makes it easier to work with ADT. And he is now here to actually talk about custom code adaptation for S/4HANA. That's the title. We made it a little bit shorter. It's in English, 45 minutes. You will have the chance to actually engage into a Q&A with him for 50 minutes. So now the stage is yours. Just let me change the laptop and have fun.
Thank you very much. And in fact, I'm in contact with Thomas very often. He's really supportive as well from the other side. Oh. Okay. So thanks for joining my session today. It's not about the ADT. It's not about exactly ABAP itself, but the custom code adaptation project which we did in a Hager Group. First of all, some few points about me. So I'm a metalhead. I love brewing and also Asian kitchen. Not only eating, but also cooking. People who know me also knows that I love to play guitar and play football. I do not watch football much nowadays. I all prefer the playing. I'm also living in Tychy, Poland, so I had some distance to travel here. I work in Hager Group for 20 years already. Currently, I'm software development manager, but I was former ABAP developer. I still try to develop whenever I can, but sometimes it's only a few minutes a week. From the community, you can know me as the ACP champion, former blogger, so because the blog is a bit dead since 2-3 years, in fact. But you can find me more doing the Eclipse extensions, some specific ones, I guess you know from many years, so I will not explain them. For today, so I will explain briefly what we do in the Hager Group, how we prepared for the S/4HANA conversion, how we execute the full project, what we did in the hypercare, of course, and the takeaways of what we would do differently now. And at the end, I will do some small summary of this. So, Hager Group, you may know it because of some switches sockets that you have at home. We are a company who are producing the EV chargers, batteries, panels, lots of stuff for wiring accessories, and also enclosures. So we have like 13,000 employees, and we have 22 production factories, lots of people, lots of nationalities, and you can really find us almost everywhere in the world. Of course, main production facilities are located in Europe. Additionally, we have one in China and in India as well. These are the brands which you may know, you may see. Yeah, Gregor, you have E3DC, not missed with the ACDC. I guess also Berker is a very well-known brand here in Germany, so I guess lots of people have seen that. So the preparation. We were speaking about the S/4HANA project for a very long time. Of course, it's not easy, and it's not easy not for us as IT people, but it's not easy for the business people, because we have to stop the system, we have to be prepared, we have to really include everyone from the business into the project. So we started firstly, of course, from the technical side. We started to check how many custom code do we have really, and we checked in 2021 that we have 12,000 custom objects, and this is only also reports and function groups, so really ABAP code only. And we forgot, of course, about the subscripts, Adobe Forms, and all the other stuff. So at the end, it was probably like 50,000 at the end, at least according to the custom code migration app. So what we had to prepare at the beginning, we knew, so we have a custom code, but we didn't know much. What does it mean in terms of time to adapt it to S/4HANA? We didn't even know if we need to adapt the code. So we started with the setup of the ABAP call monitor to get the statistics for the applications. We installed or added to our ATC system the simplification item list, and we started the S/4HANA readiness checks there. But it was still not, I would say, enough, because of course, when you have an ABAP call monitor, you need time in order to get the information about the objects which are used and which are not used. And if you are having the project and you know it will be in 2 years, even in 3, start this call monitor, because you need the statistics, you need it to be able to prepare the scope for the future. What we had at the beginning, we had collected the information from the STAD transaction. It's also collecting the information about the usage. It's deleted quickly, so we were collecting this in the past and storing the information. So we had at least some part of information. So we set up, we could set up some basic files for the custom code adaptation at the beginning. But we wanted to use also this what SAP give us, so the custom code migration app, which allows you to create the scope, to check the progress of the custom code adaptation. So it makes it easier, and of course, it makes it easier to prepare the KPIs and show the progress to the steering committee. And the problem with the custom code migration Fiori app was that we had the system ATC on ECC stack only. So NetWeaver with Oracle, we had to upgrade it to the HANA firstly, in order to be able to use also in the future the quick fixes and this custom code migration app. So this was like a technical conversion only, because we have an ATC system as a separate hub system in our environment. On a base on this information, so STAD usage from the previous years, we created a really nasty Excel file. I don't know, it was like 5,600 entries with the program name, transaction link, information about how much it was used, how much code of lines there is. So we tried to somehow to figure out what should be the categories of priority of doing the stuff, because if you have thousands of objects, you don't know where to start. So, and if you start from the program which needs to be deleted, it's a waste of time. So we started to prepare some Excel file, really took us a bit of time. And of course, it was really terrible to maintain it at the end, because it was posted on the, deployed on the SharePoint. And at the same time, like 50 persons was editing it. So try filtering all this stuff. So sometimes it was destroyed, but we had to start from something. And so we had this categorization on the base on the ATC findings, the number of screens, number of lines of code. But of course, this is technical part. So we needed to create the categories and give it easily to the people, to the work streams, to the business user, to help us with the categorizing. So we split the old custom code into 4 categories, in fact 5. The 5th is decommissioning, so to delete, where we knew what will be the priority of running the project, of doing the adaptation. Of course, we didn't want it like, because everyone says, okay, my program or the program which I'm using is most important. I cannot live without it. But of course, there are only few development objects which are really critical for the company. And this was this category 1. And this was really checked on the level of steering community together with the Vorstand as well. So what is the progress of adapting this really business critical stuffs? And with the lower categories, of course, there were more and more objects and checked on different levels. And directly when we started to have this, to set up these categories, we went to the business and asked them to check each program, each transaction, if it's really still needed, what is the, if it's really critical for them, in which processes they are using. We explain them also that we will not go to the Fiori first strategy. We need to make the system running after the conversion, and all the additional steps we will do later on after the conversion, because we don't have the capacity now. It's too much for the users now to start also with the Fiori and the adaptation and helping us to test all the changes. So this sessions with the functional colleagues and business user were done, and so they were assessing all the programs, all the transactions, how it looked like. We did one mistake here. When someone or when the people didn't know what this program is about and what it's this transaction, they run it on the productive system. So they started to make some usage of it, which changed the scope of the program later. So if you don't know, do it on a test system development, but not really on a productive system, because it's really crashing stuff. So, but we knew that. So if the usage was 1, 2, 3 times, and most of it was IT people doing that, so we knew, okay, it's not used anymore anyway. We had to also include the external developers into the team, because, of course, in each company, you have a limited number of the people, and it's not possible to usually manage everything by yourself. So we started quickly also the searching for the partners. Of course, this was the partner for the whole migration, not only the custom code adaptation, but also support in functional stuff, technical, so migration and so on. We choose the Tata for this. And we already, during this choosing the partner, we had problems because all the partners were busy. And I guess if you go now to 2027, I don't know who we will use now, because it looks like they are not available, but really time is your enemy. So if you have a project, search for partners directly. Okay, so we had this small preparation, and then we started to do this the migration. So first of all, we started with some technical conversions, which means really we copied the system, the productive one. We tried to do the conversion, and we start to check what is really going on during this project. We had this technical conversion, then two times we tried real conversion with the old steps like financial data migration and conversion, and we started to create the transport request on each of this each of these steps, which we kept and reused on the next time, so we didn't have to repeat the steps. And one really funny stuff was that we didn't thought about. So you have a financial migration. So it should be on the tables. Sometimes you think this so that the tables are converted, but no, it's also the ABAP code is used, and we had to adapt quickly some VOFM routines because they were used during the conversion phase. So not only the deletion or solving the issues about inactive objects, but also the really solving or adapting the code to S/4HANA already for basic stuff like VOFM routines used in FI. So each time we did this transport, we created this transport for each of the migration, but we also started to use the systems for creating a new developments that we knew that we will use after the S/4HANA migration, and we also started to use better this custom code migration app. Of course, we had the new system S/4HANA. Then we started also to update frequently this ATC system with the newest OSS nodes, updates for the ATC checks, updates of the simplification item list, and this number of the objects started to grow. So we had this SCMON data already for several months running. We had to create the scope, and the scope is really important here because if you will run it, the custom code migration app, there will be lots of objects which really you don't need to touch, or at least it looks like you don't need to touch. So we have like a lot of add-ons installed with abapGit, so all the community stuff. Usually you have the version already ready for S/4HANA, so you don't need to touch it by yourself. It's enough to reinstall it with the newest version later on. There's also, some packages that will be deleted. You can completely remove them from the scope. So it's a bit of manual work, but it helps you then later on to manage the priority and the progress. Of course, we have realized it's not 12,000, but 50,000 objects which are included. Sometimes we didn't know even that such kinds of objects existed, but they are included in the scope, and then we have to adapt it sometimes. We also noticed that there are differences between the ATC findings which we have on the system, which is converted from the productive one, so the copy of the production, and development. And then what happened? But we had lots of nice open transport requests, sometimes 12 years old, sometimes even, yeah. It's like really, the management of this was really creepy. Sometimes we had the transport as lots of temporary objects which are inactive, or even where they're active, they're also taken into consideration by the custom code migration app, and they're included into ATC check. So that's why there are differences. So on the sandbox system, we had 32,000 of foundings for the S/4HANA conversion, and for the development, it was 38. So 4,000 more could be some work to do. So first of all, yeah, cleaning of the transport requests. Lots of not released transport requests, lots of open tickets in our ticketing system. Even lots of transports open and kept by people who doesn't work in a company for 20 years. So maybe not 20, but 15, 10. So we had to clean it up, everything. So we gave a task to all the developers. Okay, please check all your requests, all your transport requests, clear it, release it, or return to the same version which you have on the productive system. And then we will have like the same starting point on the development system and on the productive one. Of course, if this development was still ongoing and needed, we didn't ask them to do it. But in case of the all development started, they had to be finished before the migration is done to the S/4HANA, because we need to test this all development during the UATs, and they had to be released with the transport request to the final productive system during the conversion. So we had this, so we had to do this sandbox conversion. We started the custom code adaptation already on the sandboxes. We said, okay, we don't have time to wait until the development freeze will be there. We do all maintenance. So we started there, knowing that we will have some troubles, that we will have to do the work sometimes twice. So we started with mass processing of quick fixes of the findings. I thought at the beginning I will be really clever. I started the ATC checks. I had all this 8,000 checks, automatic checks, which I could do at once. But of course, you can forget about it. It's taking too long time, so it was always dumping timeouts. So we had to work like a package by package, do a ATC check, and then run automatic quick fixes for them. It took some time, but it really it saves a lot of time. I think from the 32,000 findings which we had on the sandbox system, 8,000 we solved with this automatic quick fixes, so it's already quite nice. But the problem was, and this was like quite crazy for our colleagues from the steering committee, you said you've done all these automatic quick fixes, but the custom code migration app says you have still 15,000 which can be solved automatically. Yes and no means you have a quick fixes available in ADT when you run the ATC checks for the objects, but you cannot run them automatically. You have to run them manually with Control 1, because sometimes this quick fixes like use pseudo command or pragma. So you have to really be aware that these figures on the custom code migration app are not always exactly what it looks like to be. So, but anyway, it helps a lot, the quick fixes in ADT to run it, so you don't have to really correct every select statement, etc. So we started this custom code adaptation on the sandbox system, and then we have already some troubles with the developments that were happening at the same time, because, okay, we adapted the code here on one system, and on the development, something else was done. And then we started to think, maybe it's a good time now to start dual maintenance. It will be 1 year of dual maintenance. We wanted to have it as short as possible, but then we decided, no, we cannot work like this because there will be too much troubles, too much issues then later with the code. So we started the conversion of the development system, and we set it up the dual maintenance, which in fact is, so the whole process was copying the development system, copying also this new sandbox, setting up these transport routes to be able to move everything then later on from the development system to converted sandbox system. We started this and we set up a lot of rules. Means dual maintenance, you have to really create the code twice. So one on the old development system and on the new one. So we decided, so it will be a mess if everyone can create transport requests on the new system. So we created like few only transport requests on the development S/4HANA system, and we added a task for everyone who can come in and correct the objects. Of course, on the same time on the development system on ECC, we also created such big transport requests where we were locking the objects which were already adapted on the other one. So it's just a manually copy-paste object into the transport request lock. So we know that when someone had to adapt this object still on the ECC, then he knew that he had to really also take care about this all adaptations which happened on the S/4HANA system development one. And of course, we can trust each other, but people forget about stuff. So we set up the checks, in fact, manual checks. So the colleagues from Tata was doing that, checking what was released so which transport request was released on the ECC system, which objects were inside. And he was asking by email, oh, have you done the dual maintenance? Are you sure? So he was marking and yes, confirmed, done. So at least double check just by asking if this was done. So we had really few transport requests on the side on the ECC, which was then very good and later on for transporting during the next migration and next conversion of the sandbox systems. And then all the rest was most of manual work. So you have ATC checks. You have information about the OSS node, which you read and you are going crazy because you have no idea if this is really valid for your case or not. So we split the work between the in-house developers and Tata developers, mainly by packages. Sometimes in this Excel file, which I showed you, we set up who is responsible for a specific object. So we are sure that, for example, some critical stuff, we do it by ourselves because we know it better, and all the others can be done by any developer. I had a pleasure to work with the development lead, Ian from Tata. So he was handling all the developers, external ones from Tata. So I had mostly exchange only with him daily about the issues, about the way, how to progress, how to change the code. And on their side, they were creating like guide with the Excel file with the information. In this case, in this check, do this probably. This is the best practice, but take care about some exceptions. So all these priorities based on this nice Excel file, I had to somehow also check how much work was done, what is the progress, what was the time used. So I've set up the Microsoft DevOps for that as a tool only to check the tasks and also to do reporting, because as we know, all in companies you have to do a lot of reporting. So DevOps gives you a possibility to export data with the OData. So I use Power BI, Quick Connect, some dashboarding, checking if the times are fine, if all the information are stored correctly. I also was the only person who was doing the ATC exemption. So because sometimes it was like this, that okay, it was false positive, there was no pseudo comment pragma to use. So the rule was like this, all exemptions were landing on my side, and I was deciding yes, no, come back, there is a way to correct this code. At the beginning, it was hell of work, but of course, with the time, also the developers which we work with learned where to ask for the exemption and when to really find the solution for this. And of course, we took out also some of these existing transactions which we had, and we fully redeveloped them. It was only part of them, some, because you cannot really redevelop everything. There's too much stuff, but we knew that it will not work in the new environment. So because of the changes in the database or changes in the full process, so we had to redevelop them. So we use this time also for that part. And then was the most funny part, decommissioning of old code. I really set up again, with using the DevOps, the Git repository, and the full hierarchy of the deleted packages. So I was manually creating the packages with some prefix to use it in abapGit, to have a structure like in ASAP normally. And I was manually moving this object so changing the package assignment of the object which I wanted to delete, creating a copy using abapGit to the Git repository in the DevOps, and then I was deleting it manually. So, but ADT was really helpful here with all the support, like where the object is still used or not, where exactly. So there was some work to do, but I think I've deleted like 3,000 or 4,000 objects during that time. And in case it was needed anyway, because although it was marked to be decommissioned, we will not use it, of course, during the test. Say, oh, where's my program? Where's my transaction? So I was bringing back with the abapGit the program, and then it was already in most cases adapted, because with this automatic quick fixes which we had, also these programs were included into the custom code adaptation work which we did before. So it was really a quick way. And now still I have this repository of all deleted objects. I can check, I can search easily. So it's not possible with the standard ASAP at the moment. So we started then the test. Of course, one of the issues is the tool where you use the testing. So we had this Excel file, one status there. We had the business users, which had to somehow create the incidents. So we didn't know exactly yet how to do it. So the first trials was with the MS Planner, but it was really hard to understand the context, attachments, linkage was really horrible. And also people were doing manual reporting then on the base, and that's what is still open, what not, so really creepy. So then we decided, yeah, we have SCMON, let's use SCMON. We have put it all the test cards, built the test scenarios. And then during these UATs, which we had linked the test plans, test executions with the incidents, and it was quite easy to manage. We had this built-in dashboards inside. Of course, SCMON is end of life, as we know. I don't know if Cloud ALM can handle this at the moment. I'm not the SCMON specialist, but at least for this purpose, the SCMON was really helpful, because at least you can really have the link between the process, the execution of the test, and the incident. This is a small representation about how much time it took us to solve really all findings. So at the end, we were really with the 0 ones, and the end was June 2023, when the go live was in August. And you can see like some peaks. So as we converted the development system, there was a peak. Of course, we moved all the transport which we had on the sandbox system to the development. It solved already lots of stuff, but there was really still a lot of work to do. One thing you have to take into consideration is that you have a lot of false positive findings. So there is one nice way to get rid of all of them. So when you figure out, okay, this is repeating itself, it makes no sense in our environment, go to ATC. After filter, I would say these findings, and then add them to the baseline as a solved, and then directly your numbers going down, developers are more happy because they have less findings on the list, and then do not have to repeat, I would say, this work again and again. Because if you have hundreds of OSS nodes, you don't remember later on which one was it about. And it's also a good practice that if you have one finding, so with the OSS node, do not let it, I would say, to be worked by several developers. Sometimes it's better that they go with finding and not with the object, and they are solving all of the same findings one in several objects, because they remember what was in OSS node. They remember if it's linked to one table, two tables, and so on. So it's much more easier like that. Huh? Then we have go live. I was really scared. So we had the long weekend, 15th of August, but everything was smooth, no issues. No one called me during the conversion. I was even scared. So what will happen when the users will run the system? But no really issues, no major ones. So there was some small ones. We released at the end 50 of the transport requests, and we were doing this on purpose. So when we had these conversions before, so the UAT, the first integration test, second one, we were already releasing all the transport requests on the development system and putting them in the transport queues, because it takes time. So releasing of the transport request when you have thousands of objects inside takes some hours. So, and additionally, ATC is checking again then, so additional few hours. So it's good practice to release all the transport requests, all the tasks before, and you have at least few less steps, and then it's already in the queue, and then automatically is imported during the conversion. Of course, we have the list of all the transport, where to put them, which state of the conversion, but it was really really smooth. Then hypercare, again, quite quiet. There were some programs which I need to revert, because we figure out that we forgot to test some printouts. There was no print programs anymore. I was happy because they were subscripts. But I have to bring them back. And then was really quite calm month. So it was like boring a bit. So I was really happy from this. We could relax a bit after the migration, but there was still some issues like performance. And we know if you use, it's faster to use all the objects which you have, like MARC table. It's not MARC table anymore, but compatibility view, which makes some performance if you have select star. This is what we started to work after the conversion. So to make the performance optimization for such stuffs. And this will continue now for the next years. And of course, we will definitely find some more stuffs like that. What I would do now differently if we could have a chance to start again from the scratch. Definitely, I would not use Excel. I even had during this project, we had prepared on the DevOps a special dashboard, so a special project where we put all these objects as a user story or requirement, with all the fields needed to do this management, the proper statuses. But it was like 4 of the work done. So when we went to the functional colleagues and business, hey, we have a new tool to manage. I said, no. We have now SCMON, we have now Planner, we have all this stuff. Don't change anything much at the moment. So we stop with that, but definitely I would not do it again. Dual maintenance, I would not be scared anymore for this. Of course, it's a pain in the ass for some developers, but the earlier you start, the easier it's to do the custom code adaptation, and the less you are worried that something is not, I would say, moved to the new system. Of course, also, I would start the decommissioning earlier, because it happened that someone tested the transaction. The other person marked it as to be deleted. So I deleted it. And then I say, hey, I've tested it. Where's my transaction? It was there. So less work to do if you do it earlier. But of course, you need to have time to do it. And of course, for the testing, if possible, we use SCMON or maybe other tool earlier than we did now, because of making a lot of pains with this MS Planner. So at the end, so just to give you a summary. So we have 50,000 objects there to be checked, 38,000 ATC findings to solve. Only 16 developers in Hager. Some are part-time developers, sometimes full-time developers, split it in several teams, project teams, development teams, and 12 developers from data with one dev lead there. It took, I think we have also additional 1 or 2 developers from other companies which were working with us before. It took us 2 years, in fact, to run the project from the custom code perspective. But really the 1 full year was only adapting the ABAP code there. So we had a successful story at the end. We were really happy that there was no major issues, and the most important was that the business is running. So if you think about the custom code adaptation of the S/4HANA project, you hear a lot that you will have plenty of time to adapt to the new technologies, to use CDS views, to develop a RAP application, all this stuff. Forget about it. Don't touch it even, because you will just lose your time. So focus on this, that you have to make your system running after the conversion. And there is way back always. You can bring back the copy of the system again, but it will be like a big failure. So you work for 2 years and then you have to bring back the old system. So focus only on this, on adapting the projects, that it must run. Sometimes it will not run perfectly, but it must run. And then you have time later on after go live to make it better, to optimize everything. Also with the Fiori stuff, we used Fiori when it was necessary. So in FI, you have a lot of Fiori apps which you need to use. And only in this case, it was more or less allowed to add it to the Fiori Launchpad, to the roles, because you have a role management which you have to totally change in case of ACP Fiori. And of course, the user experience, users are not, of course, they prefer some sub GUI, at least these really technical users. They love the transactions, which they have 100 columns in one LV grid. They read everything. In fact, they just downloading it to Excel at the end. But they are not used to Fiori. For them, it's slow, usually. So it will take time to adapt to the new UI. So don't take a risk that you will have like small user acceptance because of that you are forcing people to use ACP Fiori. It will come. So they will need to use it with some applications. They will need to, or when they will ask for new application, you will propose, okay, let's do it in Fiori. This is a small application. We can do it. You can then use it on a mobile, even if no one is using that, in fact, in our company, at least mostly. So we're using anyway PCs, but then you can use it in more fancy ways. So we took some decisions. We kept to that. We have, I forgot to mention before in the plan, we had these 2 phases, which we actually loved. It was one design freeze and development freeze. Design freeze was a phase when we said to the people, no more new requirements. Whatever you will bring, we will not take into consideration during the project. And the development freeze was, okay, no more the changes in the development around these topics. Happily, most of the people didn't understood it correctly. So when we said design freeze, they thought it's development freeze. So they stopped asking for the developments which we already had planned before, and we could cancel a lot of tickets. And we said, okay, let's see how it works in S/4HANA. Maybe it's not needed anymore. Or maybe it will be in standard. So we happily get rid of lots of old tickets. But then the real development freeze phase was, okay, we are only working on custom code adaptation, no more on the new objects or new developments, except of legal requirements, which is normal. You cannot omit that. So you will have developments almost until the last day anyway on this old system, and you have to push it, or some critical bugs which should not happen normally, but it happens sometimes that you find it out. So there will be still development even after development freeze, but this will be really limited, and you have to be really strict with that. Okay, so I guess that's all from my side about the custom code adaptation. I hope you were not bored, and Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I was so scared I will not fit in time, but I'm faster.
Oh, you still have enough time actually. Every session ends a little bit earlier, and we have 15-minute extra. So,
Yeah.
Any questions about how to go to S4 with? Just a little bit too. I want to throw it.
Hi, Luis. Thank you very much for the presentation. It's really on point to what we are experiencing right now. So we are at this point.
Okay.
I'm trying to fit to do the things that you are doing right now, and we do not get a development freeze.
No.
How would you say? I mean, we are at the dual maintenance right now, trying to fix every bug and integrate every feature while doing the deletion and the fixes. And I struggle with this. I do not have a management support for we freeze everything.
Mm-hmm.
How successful would you think your project was if you wouldn't have had a full stop of development?
I would be thinking about leaving company if I couldn't have a development freeze, because I would not be able to make sure that it's working after. Really, it's like we had to be really strict. So I had the support of my managers because they were also developing a bit in the past. So it was easier to understand by them that how critical it is. But we had to also explain to the business. So look, guys, so if you will still develop something, it can happen that we cannot even finish the migration, so technical migration, because of some inactive objects, some issues during the financial migration. So it had to be like development freeze phase, even if it's short one. So if it's 1 month, for example, because you have to release all your transport requests. And if you have your custom code adapted to S4HANA, but you don't release it during the migration, then you have old version which will damping or which will not work as it should. So I would not see it as a real possibility to have it really fully open development at some time. So at least I guess 1 month of development freeze when you have a time to clean everything. So which going to the production system during the phase, and if you will have some issues still, it's needed. I said we have some still developments like for the legal requirements. I think we were changing there were some changes in Portugal for the invoices at this time, so we had to do a lot of development there. But it was exception. So and not I would say a rule that okay, give it to us, we will handle it. So it could be hard to handle if you have incoming request and you have to update all the time the code. So how to manage this? You could not use, for example, this that you have big transport requests, what is adapted, what is not adapted. You have, everyone has possibility to create, change, and what will happen during the migration. So you will release all of them, even if it's not ready, the development. So this is the question, how to handle that. So that's why we said we need to have this phase and design freeze phase where we said no more new requirements it's coming. Because we needed to focus on the adaptation of the code that it works after migration. So if you will not stop it, you will not have a system converted. So it's really hard. I'm sorry for you.
Thank you.
Someone else?
Yes, I've a good question about the sprint programs that were missing. Were they SAP standard reports that were missing?
No, it's post custom code because they were missing because I deleted them.
Yes, didn't they occur in the call monitor? Or was it just an accident?
Sometimes, so the call monitor it was there. So we have, for example, the usage of the program. But anyway, sometimes we have the decision we will not use it after S4HANA. So it was marked in the Excel file to be decommissioned. So I didn't care if it has usage or not. Decommissioned, yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, so less code, less work to do. So perfect situation for me. Yeah. So at the end. It was only few to bring back, so it was cool. It means that the tests were done correctly in the UAT phase, especially because, and the last UAT, because I was deleting still between first UAT and the second UAT, I was still deleting the objects because finally I get the answer. No, we will not need it. We don't need that function group anymore with the RFC functions for some application because it will not work anymore anyway. So this was, I would say, like living, I would say, organism all the time with this deletion, but few only left to bring back. So that's what is so cool. Huh? And we get rid of a lot of old programs, even mine. So I was happy to delete them. No one can see how bad I was in the coding. So
thank you.
Someone else? No, oh, there. So it just before close back.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I would actually have a question how you have managed the custom code migration and then also the test management and also the handover, because I mean you had roughly 5 months at least where you have heavily reduced on those findings. And at some point, I guess that maybe also functional consultants and business would like to start maybe testing their business processes. And how have you in your company had a strict release? Yeah, now the system is half-baked ready, you can start to test it, or was it already ongoing while you have done the custom code migration?
It was done directly, so there was no waiting. So
okay,
because sometimes it was clear for us, even if we have like 100 findings in the application, it can be that it doesn't need to be touched at all because we get false positive findings, or I don't know, only order bys need to be added to the select statement, something like that. So the people were testing and also were giving us on that base information what is the priority. So if they are testing the basic processes and something is not working, they will say, okay, please jump into that program, that user exit, please change it firstly, adapt it so we can continue the tests. So it was like really all the time changing and testing by the business user and functional colleagues on IT side.
Okay, so you have your Excel priority list and then a feedback loop with the business and the error findings in the end.
Exactly, always loop, and then all the information if something was not working also were added to this Excel. Like if the tests were successful, something is wrong, something is missing, and of course it can happen. And it was happening sometimes that we have tests successful, and we still did some custom code adaptation, and then it didn't work anymore. So we have to correct it and bring back the status to be tested again and so on. But it was really work for a lot of people, not only IT, but also business for this 1 year or lots of time. So it was painful for everybody, for each department, but there is no other way. You have to test it.
Okay, and I would have a second question. Yeah, good when I would remember this question. Maybe slightly later. Good morning.
Okay.
Well, thanks for interesting presentation. There were 2 sandbox systems mentioned in the landscape of the solution during this migration project. And I would like to understand if you were transporting the custom development objects only from the sandbox 2 to the development system, or also from sandbox 1, because this was not clear to me. What was the flow of the objects being migrated?
You mean this picture or before?
I think it was even before. Maybe not this. This one. That was
Okay.
this slide here.
So we had this. The first was the technical conversion, just simple NetWeaver update with the HANA database without really taking care about all this financial convention was good or not. Then on the first sandbox, so this was first conversion. And then we started also to place with the code some transport requests were done there. And then we kept it as a transport request. And then we deleted the system. And then we started again, new copy and new conversion of the sandbox. So they were not existing at the same time, or even if they existed, they just for a few days, 2-3 weeks maybe maximum. And then we were focusing only on the new one then system. So at the same time, we had most cases, one sandbox system converted to S4 only. So, and then at this time, we didn't have it in the development system, so we were not pushing anything from the development system to the sandbox. It was only done directly on the sandbox. So we opened the sandbox system for the development, and we were doing adaptation there. And when we started really to think about dual maintenance and we converted the development system, then we set up the real routes of the transport request from one to only from one development system to one sandbox system, and that was all. So of course we repeated that in the phase of integration tests in the UAT. So we always had a new fresh copy of the system. A new conversion was done, so it was like a practicing before going live, how much time it will go, how faster we can be. And then we were changing, I would say, the routes to this new converted system, and then we were only passing there to the new ones in most of the cases. And we had like a tool to push the transport of copies of the objects to the sandbox system. So it's not done through SCMON, but manually. So we were able really to push everything quite easily, quickly from one system to other when it was necessary.
And development rules, you mean variant of ATC check, yeah? With the development rules, yeah, which you mentioned that you were establishing on development system, you mean the specific variant of ATC check, yeah, with which exact rules?
No. The rules means I would say the rules of transport requests from the system development to specific specific sandbox system. So it's like in TMS. So the basis, I would say, work more or less, not development. But of course, ATC.
Let me